Hello, this is Tom from the First to Last of Nerdum. Sorry about the glare here. I'm here to review Savage Sword of Conan, first issue from Heroic Signatures and Titan Comics. They just recently, in the past year or two, they required the rights to do Conan comics from Marvel. Marvel had it previously. In fact, Marvel had it back in the late 60s and 70s. They brought Conan to the comic books, brought first Conan the Barbarian, and on the success of Conan the Barbarian, they thought they would do a. They started doing this black and white magazine style Savage Sword of Conan that didn't have the comic book code on it, so that they could do a little bit more racier and more violent stories. And then I think in the early 2000s they got the rights, went over to Dark Horse, and Marvel brought it back in 2010s, and they tried to do Conan the Barbarian to more or less somewhat success, but then they tried to bring back Savage Sword for about 12 issues and did a poor job. It came out as just a color comic book, didn't have the weight or the prestige that the old Savage Sword had of being a black and white, more adult comic that really kind of embraced the essence of Conan the Barbarian. But Titan is doing it right. They're bringing back the magazine style comic book and with the black and white, and is just doing it. I was this of 2024. I know it's early to say, but this was my most anticipated comic book here. This is what I've been wanting, and they're doing it right. They got Roy Thomas, the guy who brought Conan to Marvel in the first place in the 70s. He convinced Stan Lee to pay the extra dough, which wasn't easy to do, to get the rights to Conan, and led to the huge success in the comic book, and then which also garnered the it going to the screen with Arnold Schwarzenegger in the Conan movie. So a lot has to be nodded towards Roy Thomas for just bringing Conan back into the public consciousness, and has kept it in the consciousness of the people ever since. So yeah, in the fact that they got Roy Thomas to do the introduction, they know the history and they know what gravitas he has, which is awesome. The only thing's missing is if Steve Buscema was still alive, if he could have done the cover or one of the stories in here, that would have been awesome. But unfortunately, he's no longer with us. But hey, let's look at what we got here. I couldn't decide which cover I wanted, so I got both at the comic book shop that they had. I think there's another cover which I would love to get in the future, but don't got it yet. We got the little Chronicles here, and it's basically much like the black and white of old. It's a mix of stories, comic book stories, and articles and short stories. So first up, like I said, we got an introduction by the legendary Roy Thomas. He gives a little bit of a history of a Savage Sword, which I kind of butchered here at the beginning. He also hinted at that he has a story or two that may be in the upcoming issue of Savage Sword, which is highly anticipated for me. I'd love to read that. And another thing, hallmark of the magazine is the pinups, which are really great in here. Then we have the map of the Hyborian Age, which, if you know, there's sort of a unofficial official map that was drawn in Robert E. Howard's time. That I believe all of these are based off of. Some fans did up their version from the works of his, and he gave the nod and said, "Hey, yeah, this is cool. This is legit." So there's that. Let's see, and let's see. First up, the great art. Just love it. I love black and white. Just it has a wonderful look to it. And then our first story here is done. I'll probably mess up his name. John Arcudi, and art by Max von Venner. Art's great. I really enjoyed the art in this story. I won't page through the whole story here, just because I know everybody wants to enjoy it on their own if you're going to pick this up. I'd say very good story, very much in the style of Conan. Got your lovely ladies in there, but she's a little bit tougher than what Conan maybe um, is familiar with. But yeah, the story, got to say, towards the end, I won't spoil anything, but Conan gets kind of tripped up into something that, for me, I think it doesn't quite bode for his character. I think he would have sensed, much like the reader, that something was afoul, but he doesn't, which kind of rings false for me for the character of Conan. So yeah, that's the only hitch I have for this. Like I said, great art. Let's skip ahead. Let's see. Again, great art. I like the how it's shaded. It's a very long story, longer than your normal comic book, so that's something to be said for this. Yeah, and just Conan looks great in this. Um, let's skip on ahead. We don't want to miss anything here, or we're gonna spoil anything. Okay, here we go. Yeah. All right. And then we've got a poem. Couldn't be a magazine of Conan without a little bit of Robert E. Howard's prose or poem in here. We've got a poem, my favorite poem of Robert E. Howard, ending with the classic line, the subtle tongue, the sophist guile, they fall when the broadsword swings, rush in and die, dogs. I was a man before I was king. Awesome stuff. And then we have John Zub. He does a short story, and I really enjoyed it. It's written very much in the style of Robert E. Howard. Love it. The only thing is, it's only 2 pages. I mean, you got a lot of words on there, but I think it kind of suffers from being short. There's not a whole lot to it as far as plot. It's more or less one scene, with a little punch at the end. So it's good, but if there was more of a story to develop there, it would be it'd be better. But it's good for what it is. I think actually the star of this is actually the story right here, by Patrick Zurcher. He does the story and art, a great art. Solomon Kane is he hasn't got his due yet. He did get a great movie, about 10 or so years ago, that if you haven't seen, definitely check it out. Great stuff. But yeah, he's kind of a lesser known Robert E. Howard character, but undeservedly, he's a great character. Very interesting. And I gotta tell you, this is part one of I don't know how many parts to it, but again, great art. And I mean, look at that, Solomon Kane. He's got that stoic, dark look to himself. Great stuff. Like I said, I really enjoyed this story. It's the main story is, I think it's almost 50 pages. This is only about 18, I think, but and it's to be continued. So yeah, definitely check that out. And then to round out the magazine, let's see, I gotta turn the freaking page. We have an article written by Jeffrey Shanks. It gives you a little history about Solomon Kane, and yeah, it just gives you a little bit more information about him. Short and sweet, just one page, and then we got a pinup, and then I think that's it. We got a little cover gallery and an ad in the back saying what's next. So yeah, great stuff. I don't know how fast these are selling, but yeah, if you haven't got a copy yet, I would definitely recommend picking it up. I give it a big thumbs up. Check it out if you're a big Conan fan, and if you made it this far, you may be either a fan of Conan or our channel. So give us a like, and a subscribe if you're into this. We talk about comic books, movies, anything within the nerddom realm, as far as enjoying the material and actually collecting it. We talk about collecting. Our last episode of our podcast, we talked to Chris Miles about his collection of VHS tapes. So check that out if you like. And we'll be back next time. See ya.